book, the first bit is introduction. And the introduction starts off with like this personal story, which I'm not going to read you in its entirety. And the introduction ends with, what follows is my exploration of productivity through the lens of meaning and purpose. At its heart is a simple question. How can we work out what really matters to us? And then how can we apply the principles of productivity to work towards it? I don't have the answers, but I hope this book will offer you some useful ways of thinking about the question. So that's like the end of my personal spiel. And then we have a heading within the introduction. So like an H1. What is productivity? Normal text. What even is productivity? A mathematician, a psychologist, and a sociologist would all give us different answers. Intuitively, we might first think of productivity as getting more things done. A farmer, brackets Alex, who harvests 100 kilograms of grain, would seem to be more productive than his neighbor, Ben, who only harvests 90 kilograms. But if Alex works in the fields for 10 hours to harvest 100 kilograms, but Ben only works for 5 hours to harvest 90 kilograms, is Alex really the more productive farmer? He works twice as long as Ben does, but only harvests 10% more grain. Which farmer would you rather be? Which farmer would you say is more productive? An economist would put their money on Ben. In Economics 101, productivity isn't just about producing more, it's about producing efficiently. And because we're all fond of equations, the economist's productivity equation might look like this. Productivity equals output divided by time. Farmer Alex's productivity is 100 kilograms divided by 10 hours, which is 10 kilograms per hour. Farmer Ben's productivity is 90 kilograms divided by 5 hours, which is 18 kilograms per hour. All else being equal, it's fair to say that Ben is more productive than Alex. This makes sense. We're more productive if we get more done. But we're also more productive if we can reduce the time it takes for us to do our work. In other words, it's not just about getting things done, it's about getting things done efficiently. But let's put a spanner in the works. Right now, we're thinking of Farmer Ben as being more productive than Farmer Alex because he's more efficient at producing grain. But what if Farmer Ben's job isn't to harvest grain at all? What if his business model relies on him harvesting apples instead? What if Ben harvests grain as a way of procrastinating from his true job of harvesting apples? With that context in mind, is Ben really more productive than Alex? Probably not. Sure, he's making more grain and he's doing it efficiently, but he's doing the wrong thing. He shouldn't be harvesting grain at all. And so our original equation doesn't yet capture the essence of true productivity. Farmer Ben's problem is that harvesting grain isn't meaningful. It doesn't help him work towards his business goals. It doesn't get him any closer to where he wants to be as a farmer. And unless he's particularly fond of grain harvesting as a meditative hobby, it probably doesn't contribute towards his greater life mission either, whatever that might be. It's all too easy to confuse busyness and productivity. We've all had days in which we get through our to-do list, only to realize that none of the tasks on it have got us nearer to where we want to be. Or where we've attended lots of meetings and seminars and sent lots of emails, only to ask ourselves at the end of the day, what was the point in all that work? And so, to my mind, focusing only on output isn't enough. We should instead focus on meaningful output. In other words, we need to work out what kind of work gives each of us a sense of purpose, and put this front and center in our productivity plan. To this end, the human productivity equation is as follows. Productivity equals meaning multiplied by output divided by time. And then I'll talk about, how this issue of meaning is already opening up a big can of worms. And meaning kind of means different things depending on your time horizon. On a very zoomed in time horizon, Farmer Ben, his work is not meaningful because his business relies on him harvesting apples rather than grain. If we zoom out a bit, we think in terms of, meaningful goals. Like, what does Farmer Ben want from his life, and what are his goals? And then if we zoom out even further, it becomes a case of meaningful life. Like, what's his wider mission? What does he want to accomplish? What does he want read out in his eulogy at his funeral? And the argument I'm going to make is that by thinking in meaning in these three different time horizons, we can actually ensure that the work that we're doing or our productivity is moving us forward, preferably in all three realms.